So I wasn't going to make a video on Saturday, but then I decided to make a video on Saturday. We're going to talk about Hims and Hers. Obviously, big drop on Friday. I recorded Friday's video just before the market opened and everything was alright in pre-market, and then obviously the news that affected Hims and Hers for the reason why it went down 25% came out, so I didn't really know that at the time of recording the video, and then I thought, you know what, I'm going to leave it because this news isn't a surprise, this isn't a shock, and it's not a shock really to see the Hims and Hers share price down, so I thought I'm going to leave it for now. But I got that many messages and that many comments about Hims and Hers, I went, okay, we're going to do a video, and there's quite a few things that I want to talk about in today's video about Hims and Hers. So first of all, we'll be just talking about investing in general, and then we'll get kind of onto Hims and Hers a little bit later on in the video. So if you want a bit more Hims and Hers direct news related, then skip a little bit. Now, just before we do, just a little shout out on the Patreon. I am making some exclusive videos over there this weekend. I've just done a deeper dive review into Celsius Q4 earnings, go into it a lot more detail, and then I go on to the Alani acquisition they made as well into a little bbit more detail. It's about 20 minutes long, so if you do want to see that, go join the Patreon. Links in the description. £6 a month, or you could join yearly, which works out as like £5.10p a month or something like that. Or you could pay just for the video, it's £3. It supports the channel and helps me make these videos on the Saturday. And as well as that, I'll drop some more exclusive videos across the weekend. I'm going to take a look at Elf Beauty, which is one I've never talked about before on there, as well as some other earnings like AMD and Disney. That should be out in the next few hours. So yeah, if you do want to join, links in the description. But let's go on to Hims and Hers. So there's a few points I want to make before we do get onto the news. So the first thing is the reaction. I could not believe the reaction to Hims and Hers when it dropped 25%. I thought this was going to be, I didn't think it would be anything mentioned about it. I was really surprised to see like the messages about talking about it, and I zoomed out and I went, so this is the stock that we're panicking over, the stock that is still up 421% in the last year is the stock that everybody's panicking about just because it's down 25% today. I couldn't believe it. Like, you know, this is long-term investing, guys. If we were panicking about a 25% drop when the stock is still up 421% in the last year, what are we doing? I personally don't look at my account and the shares that I'm up and down that often to worry about a dip. You know, I'm looking at that going, yeah, I'm still up 421. Oh, actually, it's fair. I'm thinking up still a 600+% on my position. So I'm not really concerned, because when I zoom out, I'm like, look at how much I'm still up. That little dip doesn't really affect me. The first point I want to make is that I couldn't believe the people that came out the woodwork. Oh my days, I looked at the video on Friday and then a couple of other videos that I've done historically. I couldn't believe the people that were coming out of the woodwork and typing a couple of hate comments in the video. I was like, where have you guys been for the last 2 years? I was like, well, you've been so quiet for the last 2 years, and then you're all coming out just because Hims and Hers had the 25% dip. Let's not forget, I'm still up 600% on this position. It just shows you, it makes me laugh in this space that people are just waiting for your downfall. People are waiting, you know, it's going to happen again. There's going to be a day, there's going to be a time period in the stock market where we are going to see a major dip, and I'm sure when that major dip comes, there'll be a million hate comments in the comment section once again having a go. But it amazed me just to see just how much people were waiting to come out and you know, bash me in the comment section. But there were no Andy Pickering comments, so shout out to Andy P. I hope you're all right. I've not heard from you from the last 6 months. So yeah, that gave me a little bit of a laugh to see that happen. The next thing is the people panicking over the dip. I couldn't believe the amount of people that were panicking over a 25% dip. I mean, I don't know how, because you zoom out and look at how much you're up. The only people that are surely panicking are those people that have kind of been buying at the top. And if you've been buying at the top, what have you been doing? Buying a stock that's 113 times earnings at the top of the cycle? I don't know what you're doing, but I think that a few people are panicking because maybe this is the first time they're seeing a dip like this. You know, this is what we say about stocks. You know, look at the likes of Celsius recently. We talk about Elf Beauty on the Patreon a little bit if you do want to watch the video. But some of these stocks that go up like this, you know, they can go down just as quick. When you're at an extended valuation like this, the reality check can be brutal. You know, when you have this story of these amazing financials that Hims and Hers is doing at 77% revenue growth, net income up 1,000%, it's all fantastic, and that's why it's gone up to a premium of 113 times earnings. But you start getting priced to perfection. These stocks start to get priced to the point of view where if there's anything that comes out which spooks the market, which we did kind of get on Friday, even though we kind of knew this was going to come at some point, that spooks the market and that goes down just as quick. So people forget sometimes, because especially because we've had the bull market for the last 2 years, people forget like stocks do go down and they can go down rapid. This is nothing, from some of you guys that maybe went through that 2022 stock market crash. You'll be going, yeah, this is nothing. We went through a year and a half where stocks just went down day after day after day. One day of going down 25% when we were still up 421% in that position, absolutely no worries. Wait until you go through a stock market where you have stocks up 300% and then they go negative and you're actually down in your position. That's when you're like, what is going on? The likes of Meta, for example. I remember on the 2022 stock market, I was up on that stock, like 200%, and then all of a sudden I was negative on that position, down like 30%, and I was like, what the heck's just gone on here? That's when you're panicking. This is nothing. But I think a lot of the comments from the people panicking, I've got to say, I think are coming from new investors. This is the first time in the stock market they're only used to stocks going up all the time. And you look at the amount of new retail investors that have come on in the last 6-12 months. There's a lot. Look at Robinhood's numbers if you ever wanted evidence of that. You look at Robinhood's numbers here. You can see that the surge in users is massive, because what happens is that when we have the stock market flying, that's when it attracts new people, because everybody's talking about it. Everybody goes to the mates. They go to the mate's house. They go to the mate's birthday party, the mate's wedding, and they go, hey, you know what? I've started doing this stock market thing, and I've been buying this company called Hims and Hers, and I'm up 421%. It's absolutely amazing. And their mate goes, does it, and it carries on going up, and then it spreads. Whereas when stocks go down, and that's actually probably the best time to be buying, people don't go to the mate's wedding and go, I bought this stock called Hims and Hers, and I'm down 30%. And you don't do it, do you? So that's why when people normally start investing in a bull market. But the problem is that what they get used to is stocks just going up and up and up. And Hims and Hers has deserved to go up in the last few years because the financials have been on absolute fire. The difference is though that Hims and Hers has gone from a forward P of like 30 times earnings. The forward P on Hims and Hers now is what is the forward P on Hims and Hers? 94 times earnings. I think it's even higher than that. I don't even know if that's correct, but the forward P has gone up. I think it's actually somewhere between like 110 times earnings or something. You've also had crazy metric expansion, and that can't happen forever. Stocks can't just keep going up. They can go up to reflect the financials, but when the metrics get expanded that much, at some point there's going to be that elastic bandwidth. 110 forward times earnings, you're going to have that pullback because it just can't keep going up at that rate. And them sort of levels is, in my opinion, overvalued. I think I made a video the other day saying I think Hims and Hers is a little bit overvalued now, and it's going to pull back to reality, and that's what we've started to happen. And sometimes it just takes that one bit of news and it spooked. And I'm fine with Hims and Hers going down because I believe Hims and Hers did go to overvalued territories. I think that when Hims and Hers the other day did start getting up to levels of $68, I do think Hims and Hers went overvalued, and that's me as a shareholder saying that. I think the only people that may be frustrated here is maybe people that didn't take some profit off the table. And if you didn't take any profit off the table when it was $68, I don't know what you're doing, because if you're running numbers on that 116 times forward earnings, you got to be thinking I've got to take some profit off the table. And maybe that's a lesson to some people that just sat there going diamond hands, and then realizing that sometimes taking a little bit of profit off the table is good, especially when you get to extended valuations. We're here to make money. Reward yourself. And for me, I was taking some profit off the table, and that's also another reason why I can sit back now and go, I'm holding this for the long term. I do think the stock will do very well in the next 5 years, and I think it will be higher in the next 5 years, but that valuation got a little bit stretched, and I just took some profit off the table. And maybe that's also why I'm okay with hold. And I see the same in the Discord and Patreon, some of the experienced guys in there. That's what you got to do sometimes. You do recognise that even if I love a stock, I love Hims and Hers, but I'm here saying that the stock did get to overvalued territories in the last kind of couple of weeks. So that's just a bit of mentality. I spent the first 10 minutes just talking about mentality, and maybe that piece as well was aimed to maybe newer investors and understanding the market a little bit more. Let's actually talk about Hims and Hers a little bit as well now. So for Hims and Hers, why did it drop? Well, the reason why is the market got spooked. The FDA came out and said that they are going to stop the short supply list on the Novo Nordisk GLP-1. So that's what Hims and Hers has been doing. They've been making a copycat of this, and that's been helping the revenue growth explode a little bit recently. And obviously Hims and Hers will have to stop manufacturing these products. We knew this was going to happen. We've known that this was going to happen for a long period of time, probably for like the last 6 months. it shouldn't really be a shock. It's crazy that the market, in my opinion, had such a shock of a reaction to this, but maybe just because it was valued so highly, that's probably maybe why there was the pullback. But this news isn't anything surprising. I think we've been talking about it on the YouTube channel for the last 6 months. This is not anything shocking. What is good to see is that we had we had even a bigger drop about 5 months ago when Eli Lilly's GLP-1 actually got taken off the market, and Hims and Hers dropped off that news. But it was funny because Hims and Hers isn't even a copycat of that one. It's actually the Nova one. So it's good to see that the market actually finally this time realised, oh, it's the right stock for Hims and Hers to drop on. So good realisation there from the market that it actually dropped on the right one this time. But yeah, no surprise. Like I said, we knew this in October time, and I remember making a video at the time in October time, and I said, look, this isn't even the right one, but it gives you a taste that I think when eventually it is the right one, we probably see the stock drop whenever that does happen. And then obviously we got the news that it's obviously going to stop the the ability to copycat, and then the stock did drop. There's a little bit of a grace period. I can't remember what it is. It's like April or May time. It says somewhere down there. So they have got a little bit of, that will run for obviously the Q1 period and into Q2, so they will still get some good financial impact from it, but it will start coming out of the financials. And by the way, if you do want this platform that I'm using for this news story, Seeking Alpha, I've got a link in the description, gives you a big discount. But yeah, no surprise at all. And I've always said that I'm quite happy that this is actually going to stop supporting Hims and Hers financials, because this was always a short-term thing. I want and when you listen to Hims and Hers, it's all focused on this GLP-1 at the moment. I want Hims and Hers to go back to Hims and Hers, like the actual core businesses, the core products that are going to be around for many, many years, because that's what I'm investing for Hims and Hers for. And all these kind of day traders and all these shorts that are kind of going on, like this news at the moment, it frustrates me as a long-term investor, because I'm not really in for this. I'm investing for the long-term game plan, because on the long-term game plan, the company is still a strong company. Without all this GLP-1 business that's going on with the business, right now, the subscriber base, excluding GLP-1s, grew 40% year over year. And they actually said, obviously that would suggest as well that was the subscriber base. So when you look at the revenue point of view, it's probably even higher than that, because there'll be people buying like the one-off products inside the business as well. So it's actually probably a higher than 40% revenue growth. So maybe 45% revenue growth. It'll be somewhere in that sort of range. So Hims and Hers, even without this GLP-1, is growing at insane rates, like crazy rates, like rates that so many businesses wish they could grow. And that's what I'm kind of looking forward to, is all this GLP-1 business going away from the business, because I want to get back to the core business. The core business is still extremely fundamentally strong. 40% growth is absolutely amazing. Obviously, we've seen in the last kind of couple of months the insane growth levels with this GLP-1 of 90% growth expected on their earnings on Monday. The next Q, 77% on the next quarter. These are absolutely bonkers ranges, but we knew that wasn't going to last forever. And when we get back to the normal rates of, let's say 40% revenue growth, that is still, incredibly strong amounts of growth. So yeah, it's still going to be, and when I was forecasting the numbers and I showed them guys, I was still factoring like 35, 30, 25% revenue growth. So I'm still even way below where they're currently at right now with the numbers that they're currently doing. So I'm kind of happy that this is kind of all kind of moving away from here, because we can actually get back to the core business. And the core business is still really strong. I think the big thing what we've learned from the last kind of couple of, especially Friday, is that I think a few people realise stocks don't just always go up, and valuations do matter, and profit taking every so often, even on stocks you love, there's sometimes where you got to look at valuations and you go, actually that's maybe a little bit too high. And obviously, as you guys know on the Patreon, you see my live buy and sell alerts. You would have seen last week in particular, I was a lot more active, just taking that little bit of profit off Hims and Hers off the table, because I thought at some point this, the elastic band keeps getting stretched. It'll have to have that pullback, and I'll have to get in a position where, even though I love Hims and Hers, I've just got to take a little bit of protection there, and we're here to make money, and I lock in that money. And obviously, we were in the point where we were taking nearly 1,000% return on Hims and Hers, which is absolutely crazy. Just a little bit of shout out. That's kind of all the bits I wanted to say on Hims and Hers. But the big thing that I wanted to just shout out very quickly is that it is interesting, because obviously the suggestion is that Novo have kind of got the supply chain under control. This stock actually had a pretty good reaction on Friday because of that. The stock went up, 5%, but apart from that 5% jump, the stock is still having a bit of a tough time. Since July time, the stock is actually down around about 35% still. And I've got to say, well, if they're getting this under control, people are going to have to go back to their product, which I think is a lot more expensive than the likes of the Hims and Hers product. So if they're able to meet that supply, they're going to get more revenue. That's going to lead to more profitability. I was thinking, is this a sign that maybe a good opportunity now is that some of that, maybe that profit that hopefully you've locked in from the Hims and Hers position, or I have certainly, and I think certainly you guys, some of you guys on the Patreon, I know you guys have, is the opportunity now going, well, these guys are now going to capitalise that Hims and Hers have kind of lost that, and they capitalise on it and they gain something from that. So because of this slump that they've been impacted by not having the supply chain issue, and they've had to put it on the shortage list, and that's kind of gone now, are they going to see a bit more of a surge? And this was on a trailing basis 27 times earnings. On a forward P, around about 23 forward times earnings. 23 forward times earnings for a company that's growing at, well, we're going to see a nice, where's the 2025 numbers? Is it 2026 numbers for these guys? Nice jump on the EPS side of it, and 20% growth expected for 2025. In 2026, 17% revenue growth, so nearly 20% growth, near the 20% growth mark. 20% growth mark for a company at 23 forward times earnings, and that's not bad at all, really, is it? And obviously this GLP-1 seems to be, majorly surging it, worldwide at the moment, so it has, major drivers for them for the next kind of few years. So I look at it and I think, what? This is actually, maybe an opportunity now where you rotate your money out. I don't know. You guys you guys at the Patreon members, should we do a bit of a stock request on this one? I don't know. Could be an interesting opportunity. I'm sure we'll talk about it on the Discord anyway. But yeah, I just wanted to add that one in there as a bit of an one to point out. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope that kind of calms the nerves down on the Hims and Hers position. Not that I think some of you guys that have been through many crashes before were kind of worried about. I think some of you guys kind of, were prepared and ready for this. I think it was maybe some of the newer guys, and maybe your first time seeing a big dip, and you've not really been through a big stock market crash yet, and obviously kind of a bit of a wake up call, and a bit of a, if the market was to crash tomorrow, are you in a position? This is just one day. You wait until you go through a stock market where it's like this for a whole year and a half. Are you in a position where you'd be mentally and financially prepared for that situation where we've been in a very lovely market, it's been rewarding, probably a bit too rewarding. This isn't normal. This is not a normal market where this sort of thing does happen all the time. So just be prepared for it. And I think maybe that hopefully for some of them guys have kind of calmed down the nerves, and then maybe that's the wake up call they needed about where the stock market can sometimes go when it's not just all lovely and stocks are going up all the time. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video anyway. I'll see you on Sunday tomorrow when I'm going to talk about a brand new stock I'm buying anyway. So yeah, see you in a bit.